second, bear with me, guys. Just waiting for my guests. What's going on? Pa'lante, mi hermano. How's everything, brother? Good? What's going on, brother? Pa'lante. What's going on, everybody? In here. There we go. There goes my guest. What's going on, Theo? How's
I'm
everything?
okay, mijo. Let me put you on my earpiece. I was hoping that I can hear you through my earpiece.
No, that's cool. I'm going to give my little introduction to everyone. Peace and blessings. Pa'lante, or power to the people. My name's Suby, National Cacique of the New Ever Young Lords. We're a humanitarian organization inspired by the Young Lords. I created a Facebook group back in June and found individuals with like-minded minds, and we created the organization that we have today. I'm proud of the accomplishments of the individuals who helped make it happen, in each chapter. I will be hosting a series of interviews with a couple of OGs, elders that I like to call them, to give them the respect, a couple of community activists, just to get, a better understanding, what we do in the community and what they do in the community, so you guys get a better understanding of me and the organization. Today, I have David Rivera Sr., original Young Lords Field Marshal out of Chicago. One of the first 7, I believe, right?
That's right. You got it right.
Welcome, my brother, welcome. Well, Tio, I'm going to call you Tio. Bendición.
Dios te bendiga, mijo.
How's everything? How you been?
Doing good, mijo. Doing good. Wait, I was waiting here a little anxiously, a little nervous about that thing, because I don't do interviews, so.
Yeah, I know. What's going on, Carla? How you doing?
I'm fine.
You good? You good? All right,
Okay.
So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 73 years old and I'm cute.
Yeah.
But
Good answer. Good answer.
I was born in Puerto Rico. Let me start from there. I was born in Puerto Rico, 48. Parents moved up here in 48 to the U.S., to Chicago. In 52, they sent for the rest of the family. I was 3 going on 4 when we got here. We lived in the poor neighborhood in Chicago, up around the Lincoln Park area. We moved there about the time where the Latinos were being moved out of the downtown area. Okay, and because there were urban renewal, I guess, was starting up back then. I don't know, but we moved to the neighborhood. I lived on Dayton Street. As a matter of fact, that's where I met Chacha for the first time.
How old were you when you met Chacha?
4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
We were little boys. Matter of fact, we were waiting to get put into first grade. Okay, his mother used to teach catechism, so all the kids used to go to his mom's house to hear catechism just because she was giving away cookies.
Okay.
But grew up there. Went to Waller High School, Mulligan School, and Waller High School. That's on Armitage Avenue, near the People's Church up there. Around 1959, 1960, we were 11, 12 years old, about 11 years old. And we got together it's a group of us, 7 or 8 of us. They were from the old barrio, and also from Puerto Rico. We formed a group just to be able to being able to go to school or to the park or the playground without getting ourselves beat up. Back then, the city was very, segregated. Talking about the blacks on one side, the Latinos on the other, the whites on the other, and so on. But the Lincoln Park area used to be a white neighborhood, and now the Latinos were moving in. So there was a lot of gang fights.
Okay.
There's a lot of gang fights back then. When we turned, I was 12 years old, maybe 12 going on 13, when we decided that we were going to call ourselves the Young Lords. We had a meeting, and we wanted a more grown-up name because everybody else was calling.
I'm sorry about that. Somebody was calling me. They interrupted. What you were saying?
And then since everybody was calling themselves Lords, Knights, Imperial Aces, and things like that, we chose on Lords,
Okay.
on the Young Lords. Since we were young, very young, we called ourselves the Young Lords. We did that I believe it was in the summer of '62.
Okay.
When we named ourselves Young Lords. And we hung around Armitage and Halsted mostly. There was a hot dog stand on Halsted and Dickens, Frank's hot dog stand, where we used to go and hang out at. East of that was the Lincoln Park, the actual Lincoln Park, about 8 blocks east of that. But those 8 blocks east of that also was neighborhoods where other gangs were in, like the Romas, the Core, the Mohawk Boys. These were white gangs, which were our rivals. Back then, there were a lot of Latino gangs, but when one got attacked, they all got attacked. When one went to fight, they all went to fight.
They sold them the same.
Yeah. So back in 1968, I was 19 going on 20. Brothers went to Vietnam. Others, members went to Vietnam or the Army. The ones that stayed, we had already dropped out of school back in 1965, I think. None of us really reached 4th year high, except maybe Furman and Benny. But other than that, we were all dropouts. But in 67 or 68, Chacha got locked up. That's where he met Fred Hampton.
Okay.
And Fred Hampton was the one that introduced him into the idea of the community, talking about being freedom fighters, revolutionaries, getting together of all the poor people, not just one race. So when Chacha came out and they handed us some books.
How was that transition from you guys being a dropout, street organized gang, into transformation into what Fred Hampton was trying to show you guys? How was the transformation? Did everybody receive it well?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, they did. They did. I did. The only thing was that Chacha told me, Davis, today you're no longer the sergeant of arms. Said now you're the National Field Marshal. And I said, what the is the National Field Marshal? I didn't know what it was. But I took it on and I learned what it was. And from there on, it's just a whole different story.
Okay.
Everything transformed. I mean, we were no longer looked at as a gang. I mean, people came to us. We were refuge for the people in the neighborhood.
How did that's what I was going to ask. How did the community receive you guys when watching the transformation? Because I know that had to be kind of rough with a reputation of, being you know, in the streets, you know, and being a gang. So the transformation, like I said, how did the community view you guys, and how did they receive you throughout the transformation?
Now you got to remember that. You got to remember that back then, the racial issue wasn't just against teenagers in gangs. You know, they were our own folks, our own people that live in the neighborhood were also getting harassed. You know, like the old man getting their hats knocked off, or the old ladies getting pushed down and by white kids. You know, that's because that was what was going on. So actually, having a gang in the neighborhood, okay, the people back then did not fear walking around the corner because we were there.
Okay.
Okay. As a matter of fact, when we were there, they felt that they could walk the neighborhood okay.
Wow.
Okay? You got to remember back then, there was no Latino or color. Let me use the word color for everybody. There was no color cops, no color firemen. You know, there was no color city workers. You know, everybody over there was just struggling to live. They barely can get jobs. The only jobs back then that you could get was either washing floors, cleaning floors, or so on. If you were lucky, you know, you might get yourself a job in a factory or something.
Mm.
You know, my mom got a job at a factory putting labels on cans of paint. You know, she worked in the back. But the only good thing was that my mom, she was blonde hair and blue-eyed.
Mm.
So she could pass. Living back then was, a childhood was fun, but at the same time, it was rough, especially if you went to school. So the neighborhood, to answer your question, no, the neighborhood actually weren't afraid of the teenage gangs back then.
Okay.
You know, because they were actually, you know, knew that they could walk down the neighborhood because we won't bother nobody, but we won't let nobody bother them either.
Right. Right.
So,
You're protecting your territory, your turf at that time.
exactly, exactly,
Okay.
and that's what it was. We protected our turf, and we had turf wars and rumbles. And back in '62, I remember in '62, we went to see the West Side Stories.
Right.
You know, um, and that's a funny story. And probably during the interview, I'll tell you about it a little bit. But you know, as we grew into teenagers and dropping out of school and hanging out more. Now in the late '60s, okay, uh, let's say '68, when we became political, even then the people backed us. I mean, when we went marching, people just walked outside and marched with us. We had marches that brought up maybe 10,000 people into the streets because we were marching.
The question, just for the viewers a little bit more, because I know me and you touched on it. But when you guys went out there and you guys marched and you had demonstrations, could you touch a little bit on the unity within the community when you guys had to go out there and demonstrate, and other organizations, gangs would come in unison one another and really come together for a purpose at that time?
Yeah, at that time, what any organization that was in the movement back then would put out leaflets about an upcoming march or an upcoming demonstration. Most of the demonstrations, unless the police beat up on somebody, they were just that, you know, a demonstration. The thing over there is that, you know, one group went and helped the other. You know, when the Young Lords made a march, you would have Young Lords, you would have Panthers, you would have the street gangs that were still there, like the Aces, the Eagles, the group that was over on
The Latin Kings at one point.
the Latin Kings will come. You know, because it was what we were doing was it was for the community, and that was everybody's community. So when we went marching, yeah, we used to get people backed up from everywhere. Even the people in the neighborhood would leave their houses just to march.
Wow.
You know, it was unified. As far as the neighborhood and the people in the neighborhood, yes, the only people that weren't unified were, of course, the people that wanted to kick us out of there.
Mm.
Uh, there was so much going on back then.
Who was your biggest? What was your? I don't want to say who, but what was your biggest fight in Humboldt Park at that time?
The biggest fight?
Yes.
Oh,
And you guys,
man.
not physical fight, but like your biggest, something that you guys had to overcome that it was really difficult, especially in the political aspect with the transition you guys were doing.
Okay, that was urban renewal.
Okay.
Urban renewal, because urban renewal was kicking everybody out of Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park area by that time was now mostly all Latino and black and some poor whites. Okay, and we were like, let's say, in the near north side of Chicago. Okay, the white groups like the Patriots, they were on the uptown side of Chicago.
Right.
And the Panthers were more like on the southwest side of Chicago.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the being in the middle, a lot of things happened with the in the Young Lords, with the Panthers or the Patriots, because it was like common ground.
Gotcha. You guys were like in the middle of
exactly of everything.
Gotcha.
So go ahead, repeat me the question.
Did I ask you what was the biggest?
The biggest fight, and
yeah,
that was
the
urban
biggest fight you
renewal.
guys had?
That was because that's when they were driving people out of their homes. Okay, one of the biggest things we did was when we took over the church. Okay, we felt that the church was in the neighborhood, it should serve the neighborhood, so we took it over.
And that's the People's Church in Chicago.
The People's Church in Chicago, in Dayton and Armitage.
Okay.
Right. I remember that night I was coming back from Madison, Wisconsin, speaking with Orlando, speaking at the university, and asking for donations for the group. When we heard it on the radio that the Young Lords had taken over the church. So when we got back, that's where we went, to the church. The police was there trying to get us out. The pastor refused to kick us out. Matter of fact, the pastor welcomed us.
What was the pastor's name?
Bruce Johnson.
Bruce Johnson.
Yeah. And he was married to Eugenia Johnson. Later, because of that action, they were killed.
Wow.
In their own home. They were both murdered.
For opening the doors to you guys?
Yeah, I would say that's what it was. Because they wanted him to kick us out of the church or to file a complaint so that we can legally be kicked out. And he wouldn't do it.
I read a little bit up on it. They never solved the murder on.
No.
Wow, to this day.
To this day.
Wow.
To this day. Because see, at that time in the neighborhood, when they were trying to kick us out, the alderman, McCulchin, he put his office right there in the corner of Halstead and Armitage.
Okay.
Half a block away from the church. Half a block away from the church. On the other side, they opened a real estate that dealt with the real estate in the urban renewal area. They were run by Fat Larry and some other mob guys. Okay, so now the battle is no longer just urban renewal. Now it's getting to where
it's
people
getting
are getting hurt. Yeah, it's getting serious. Then Pancho got killed. He was killed by baseball bats. Manuel got shot by a cop. The pastor, his wife were stabbed to death in their own home. Wow. And the other guys that got killed. There was an era there to where we literally had to hide just to sleep. We couldn't sleep in the same place for a long time, and that was especially after Fred got killed.
Okay, we're gonna get to
Okay.
that. I just want to, before we get to Fred, I just want to go a little bit back.
Okay.
How was opening the breakfast program in the community for the first time for you guys? How was that experience? How did you receive it? Like, how did you feel after you guys fed your first group of people for the first time and obviously continued it, but how did you feel when you was a part of that?
Oh, there's no feeling like it, especially when you see parents bringing in their children into a church that supposedly is run by these crazy revolutionaries, you know, and the kids every day took turns cooking, serving the kids. Then the schools, they would walk away from school. To be able to say we are feeding a community, the way the people helped, the people volunteered their time. See, when we opened the breakfast program, the clinic, the free clinic, the clothing program, where we actually used the basement of the church for areas for the breakfast. We had area for clothing. We had an area like a pantry, and people actually were welcome there throughout the day.
I've seen pictures of the old church, and it looks huge. It looks like it covers a whole block.
And actually, it carries about a quarter of a block.
Yeah, it looks pretty
If
big.
it goes from the street all the way back to the back alley, yeah, it's a pretty big church.
Wow.
So we used it for that. Plus, the pastor, before he died, the pastor never stopped giving services on Sunday. Even though it was our office, he still gave his services on Sunday, and people did go.
Wow.
Wow,
so that means something. That means the impact that you guys are leaving in the community really meant something to the community.
Sure. And that's why there's a lot of groups, white people groups, like there was a group, Concerned Citizens, ran by Pat Devine. They were a white group of citizens that were concerned enough to back us up in almost everything. Okay, and then when it got real touchy back then, because then by the middle of in 1969, then a group in New York came out by burning out garbage and everything else on the streets, and they called themselves the Young Lords. And I remember after they did that, they came to Chicago, and Cha-Cha, me, Andre, and I forgot, Orlando, I think it was, met with them. I think one of them was Melendez.
Mickey Melendez.
Yoruba. I think David Perez was one of them. Okay, when they came over, and we said, yeah, you guys are Young Lords, and they became the Young Lords organization in New York. Now, when they came out great, because that was a very powerful chapter.
Yeah.
They
left their mark.
They left their mark. Yeah,
in history, definitely.
They did great. They did great. As far as doing what they were supposed to do, they did it. And
that's around the same time that you guys were working with Fred, if I'm not mistaken.
We were working with Fred also during that time about building Fred came up with something about the Rainbow Coalition. And he started meeting with us and meeting with
let's dig a little bit deeper on the Rainbow Coalition, and shout out to the Hampton family. Tomorrow they got a big movie dropping, Judas and the Black Messiah. You guys go see that. I don't get paid for saying that. I'm just supporting, as a brother, go out and see that movie tomorrow. But since it is the release tomorrow, I definitely want to talk a little bit about the coalition, so that way, you know, everybody is inspired to go watch the movie tomorrow. Because you were there firsthand, you know, you were, you know, sitting in those audience or standing side by side, you know, when, you know, those historic moments did happen. So we could definitely dive into that, you know, so that way the audience definitely knows your connection with it and the things you went through.
Okay, the Rainbow Coalition came up with Fred Hampton had come to Fred Hampton, Robert Lee, and there were some other guys. I don't recall their name right now. I think it's Bobby Seale, not Bobby Seale. Anyway, one of them who's an alderman now in Chicago, or a councilman. They came over to the church. That was the first time I ever heard Fred speak, and he gave a speech as far as being a revolutionary.
Where was the speech at?
When I saw him speaking, he spoke at the People's Church.
Okay.
In Chicago, Young Lord's People's Church.
Okay.
And he made a speech called "The Loving Cup." I will always remember that speech. He called it "Take a Sip from the Loving Cup," and he was a very powerful speaker. Though he was young, just like the rest of us, he was a powerful speaker. He was a hell of a motivator. And by the time he left that stopped talking, he had that whole church going. I mean, you know, he was a powerful speaker. Now, when he came up with the Rainbow Coalition and he brought it up to Cha-Cha, that they were the ones that really worked on it most, was Cha-Cha. I believe it was Cha-Cha, and if I'm not mistaken, Omar
Lopez.
Yeah, Omar, and there was a couple of the other ministers. Me, I was the field marshal, so when I was there, I was there. When I wasn't there, I was out doing what I was supposed to do. But when they came together, when the three groups came together, you know, Robert Lee was one of the speakers. You know, his real name was Robert Lee Lee.
I was gonna say it. I was waiting to see if you were gonna say it.
You know, but and then there was the Slim Coleman was there in the Patriots, and I remember meeting with them, talking about the Rainbow Coalition. They set it up to have the meeting to set up the Rainbow Coalition. That day, Cha-Cha had sent me to Wisconsin. Okay. So I wasn't actually there for the actual meeting, but as far as the other things about talking about it and working within the Rainbow Coalition, yes.
How was it working with other groups, like coming together, like unified? You know, Black, white, Latino, all coming together.
Well, let's say when the Patriots had something going in their neighborhood, okay, we will take people up there.
Right.
Panthers would send people up there. The other political groups like SDS, Weathermen, the Rising Up Angry, which were more crazier type of things. They were like, you know, those guys were, all they wanted to do was battle, literally battle, physical fighting against the police and shit. Okay. Definitely we did what we had to do to survive and stay out. Okay, you got to understand, like guys like Cha-Cha and myself, I was arrested, I got about 60 arrests.
Wow. Jeez.
You know? And most of them were for crap. They would let us go the next day or after a couple of days, and they would drop the charges, but they would take us off the street. They were able to fingerprint us. They were able to do whatever. They will make us weaker in the street,
gotcha.
Especially if they took the leaders, even
right.
if it was for 2 or 3 days.
Right.
You know, that you know that area or that specific time was very difficult because everything was going so fast. Because at the same time we had all that going, like SDS was building the Venceremos Brigade. Later on, Chacha told me about the Venceremos Brigade, put me in charge of recruiting, and I'll tell you about that a little later. But when Fred got killed, he got killed only about 4 or 5 months after the Rainbow Coalition started.
Wow.
See, and after Fred got killed, and together with Mark Clark, with the police raid, they were under orders. They were, that's when some of us started getting our homes firebombed.
That was gonna lead into. Sorry to cut you off. That's what I was gonna lead into another one of my questions. Since you guys started the Rainbow Coalition together, how did it impact you guys, and what did you guys go through after Fred was murdered by the Chicago Police Department? Like, how did it affect you guys? Like, you guys were still doing your demonstrations, you guys were still out there, like?
No, after Fred got killed and everybody else was getting shot at and everybody else was being thought after, we went underground. We had to go into hiding. And some of us went to other states. Some of us just disappeared into the neighborhoods. Others went to other countries. At that time, also, we prepared the Venceremos Brigade. But I went to Cuba. I was there for about 7 months, helping them.
Can we talk about Cuba?
We can talk a little bit about Cuba.
What you was doing in Cuba? If you don't
I actually went down there as to represent the Young Lords in the Venceremos Brigade, because we were helping them in their harvest of the 10 million arrobas. They used to call it a zafra de los 10 millones. And I think there's 25 pounds to one aruba, so you can imagine how much sugar cane. And we would wake up every morning before sunup and work from sunup to about noon. We quit at noon till 3. At 3, we went back out there to about sundown, and we did this 6 days a week.
Did you think that you was going to become a machetero at the same time, a revolutionary?
I never thought it was going to be a machetero, but it was part of the revolution. It was helping them in their revolution, and when you're, if you're a revolutionary, you're a revolutionary here and you're a revolutionary there,
right?
And you're all practically for the same thing, which is to give people the power, people power. So if it took us to go down there and help them, that's what it did. Later on, I can't go into some things, but that's what happened when the Young Lords Central Office went underground. The other chapters started, like dissipating. Some went rogue, some changed their name, while the ones at the central headquarters, there were other worries. And those worries were staying alive, keeping the contacts, because I can't go into all that, but they were involved already in much bigger stuff that had nothing to do with the community. It had to do with other communities.
On a bigger scale.
At a bigger scale.
Right.
But when we got back from hiding out, everybody went to jail. Chacha went to jail. I went to jail. I did 3 years. I got out in 1977.
Wow.
When Chacha got out, I think he got out in 73, 74, something like that, 75. And he ran for alderman in Chicago, because by this time now, we found out that,
what year again? Sorry.
I believe it was 74, 75. I'm not sure, 100%.
Was he still at the same
I,
token, still representing the Young Lords organization?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, the Young Lords never died. We never quit. We've been there, what now, 60 some odd years?
Right.
The Young Lords themselves. You know, it was just that the time period called us to be able to change things, do things differently. You know,
Right.
so Cha-Cha ran for alderman. By this time, others were becoming cops, others were becoming lawyers, others were becoming firemen. Our people started getting educated, and that's one of the biggest things that came out of it. You had to get educated and educate our people so that we can get people in positions to be able to fight for our people.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
education is the most important thing there is, to educate our youth. You know, back then we didn't have it. We lost a lot to get it. But today we have cops, we have firemen, paramedics, we have lawyers, we have judges. You know, we even got a Latino judge in the Supreme Court.
Right. Absolutely.
And then, you know, if you ever wonder what came out of all that, that's what came out of it.
That's
You know,
beautiful. Now that
are
you,
we
if you
okay
really go
with it?
back and you look at it and you see what you guys have done, like definitely, you know, the fight that you guys had back then is not the same fight per se as today. You know, it has, you know, there's similarities, but it's not the same exact fight. You know.
No, your power will be within educating your masses, educating our people, our youth, and if you know, educate them, put them in positions to where they can fight for us. You know,
Absolutely,
you
I
don't have
agree.
to fight. You don't have to fight the way we fought. No,
No,
you know.
if we fight the way you fought, they're gonna throw us under the jails. They're not playing.
Yeah, but you know, all in all, was it worth it? Was it worth getting beat up? Was it worth going to jail? Was it worth losing my family over it? Yeah. Because see, today, my grandchildren and my children, you know, some of them are nurses. I got one that's a doctor. You know, I got one that's a lawyer. So did it work? Good, because see, now these are the same people that you're going to go to. And if they're grateful for what the old folks did, they'll help you. Because if we did it when we had nothing, and we got doctors to help us, we got nurses to help us, we got lawyers to help us, okay? And those people were actually white people.
Contributing,
So,
contributing.
exactly. You know, people like, I don't know if you ever heard of Patch Adams.
Okay.
You know, he was a doctor who made free clinics for people.
Right.
You know, and it was people like that, they helped us. They talked to other doctors, and other doctors donated their time.
And how did you guys, you know, were able to persuade these people or convince these people, say, hey, yeah, you know what? I'll give you my time. Don't worry about it. I'm there. How were you guys able to have that gift of gag to really, you know, tell them like, yo, this is the need. It don't work
Yeah,
over there. It got to work over here. They don't need it over there. They need it over here. How were you
yeah.
able to do that?
People have a heart, mijo. Okay, and sometimes what they're taught is what they show. You know, you take a little boy and you say that spick, that's a spick. That's not a Puerto Rican. That's a spick. That little boy is going to grow up calling all Puerto Ricans spicks and ain't going to think about it because to him, you know, they're a spick. But these same people also have a heart, mijo, and they also see. And back then, people saw what the Panthers were doing, what the Lords were doing. what the Patriots were doing, you know, and they would found out that they were doing it for them. And there's a lot of people that are in top places that do have a heart. And if you do what you're supposed to do, people will follow you and people will help you.
No, I believe it. Listen, you guys are living proof. You guys show and pave the way and show that it is possible. So especially today in 2021, you know, it's possible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And you know, it's like I've been away. I've been a young lord for all these years. Nobody ever heard of me. Not even the people that I gave my blessings to 50 years ago remember me. You know? So it's okay. The same way I gave you the blessings because Cha-Cha told me to. Same way we were there in the same group. We haven't met with them and they don't even remember I was there. See, but that's okay. You know, it was you guys that brought me out. You know, somebody pointed out that somebody was using the young lords. I said, oh, no.
I was just about to lead into that, you know. So how did you come across me? If you want to kind of go into that a little bit so that way the people know, you know, kind of like our little backstory on how we got introduced.
Okay, somebody sent me a message with a picture of the New Era Young Lord thing. I said, who the hell are them? So then I went to Cha-Cha and I told Cha-Cha, and Cha-Cha says, you know what? I ain't going to put up with this crap anymore. Ain't nobody going to be using my name for this and this and that. I said, or our name for this. He says, look into them. So I did. I looked into you guys for about 6 weeks. Right. About 5, 6 weeks. And then that's when I decided to give you a call or a text. No, I sent you a message. I didn't even give you my number. I just said, send me your number and I'll call you. And I did. And I did. And because we liked what we followed.
Yeah, you texted me. You said, this is a National Field Marshal. And I read that and I'm like, what did I do? Instantly, I didn't read it fully. And I'm like, Field Marshal. I'm like, what the hell did I do?
So when you called, you know, I was already prepared to let you know that I liked what you guys were doing, you know.
Appreciate
but
that.
I had to tell you about the name, you know, and as you know, that we had a back and forth thing until we got it right, you know, and then, you know, Cha-Cha says, you know, that's good. So that's when he told me, go ahead, and I gave you our blessings. You guys are young lords, you know.
And just to jump in on that, you know, I'm extremely grateful and honored, you know, especially coming from you guys, the originators, to allow us to continue, you know, the legacy and the movement, you know, today in 2021. You guys didn't have to acknowledge us. You guys didn't have to pay us no mind. But it's a blessing that I actually get to sit down and have these conversations with you privately and in public for everyone to see, you know, and share the same experience that I share. Because, you know, like I said, there's times that me and you have a conversation and I'll be like, wow, he really just told me that, you know, he really went through that stuff and he's sitting here telling me what he went through. And for me, a complete stranger, for you to really open those doors and embrace us, not just me, the entire organization. You know, I can't thank you guys enough for really giving us the opportunity to really continue the proper way. Because we could have continued with the name, but you know what? It's a thing about having respect and to be courteous to the ones who really, you know, were here first, who put in the work for it. You know, you guys laid the foundation that we're going to continue. So it's only right that we get it from, you know, you guys directly. And like I said, it means a lot to me directly. I know it means a lot to my organization. But I want to tell you on behalf of everybody, to you, I know Cha-Cha's not here. Thank you a lot for your support and the guidance that you guys have been giving us. Because you know what? Without you guys, I don't even know if it would have lasted this far. You guys really give me the strength to really continue it. because it gets frustrating sometimes going and dealing with a lot of personalities and try to find common ground. But if I can talk to you guys and I can get in contact with you guys, it's worth it. I spend my time with the people. I put in the work just like you guys did. You know, like I said, I want to take this time out to thank you on that. And I went a little off script, but I had to.
You're more than welcome, mijo. It's my pleasure. You know, I tell you what, you made me come out of my cave after 40 years. You know, I mean, I've always done things for the young lords, but on the low key. You know, it was you guys that brought me back into public.
I know me and you had a lot of private conversations in the background, and you tell me, Sue, I'm really not into the whole, publicizing what I did. I didn't do it for the camera. I did it because my heart was in it, and I don't really want to talk about it too much. But you know what I also tell you too, people should know, the things that you've done, the things that you've contributed yourself. Like my favorite story personally is Cuba. That you went to another country to go help and fight for their revolution, to help them with their economy at the time. That's what true revolutionary is.
Yeah. Did I tell you ever that the year after, I was standing on the Great Wall of China?
Look at that.
Yeah, it was an invite.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to tell you by that too is that was the level that Central Committee was at the time.
Yeah.
When all this thing came down. So the law came down hard, and they were going to put a stop to it.
Right.
Yeah. And they did, to a certain point. There's a lot of people that died because of it. I mean, there were other chapters of the Young Lords all over the United States, but at that time, we weren't ready to bring all that to all the masses because we were at an experimental point there too. But then what happened, and then everybody had to go hide and run and do whatever they had to do to stay alive.
Things got difficult, real difficult.
Yeah. And I remember when I got out of jail or out of prison, I got back in contact with everybody. I still kept it on the low and low. I went, and went back to my other group that I belonged to, because I also belonged to another group.
What was that?
I was the president of a motorcycle club.
I'm a little hesitant to ask, what motorcycle club was you a part of?
It was called the Sons of the Devil.
Okay.
If you look at
Chicago.
You definitely.
Okay.
I was one of the founding fathers of that too.
Wow.
We were 4 guys and 2 motorcycles.
And that was while you was a young lord at the same time?
Yeah.
Juggling 2 things.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there wasn't the animosity between groups,
Right.
You saw this group, 2 or 3 guys. You saw sometimes a group of 8 people, okay, and there was a mixture of about 5 or 6 different gangs.
Wow.
Because that's the way it was. Right. But I became a son of the devil. I became the president after about 3 months, and I was their president until 1980. I hung up my colors.
Wow. Wow, God bless. Wow.
Yeah. And then at that time, I was having some personal problems, and then
question really quick, just to backtrack a little bit on the motorcycle club. So at any time were you able to
oh yeah,
I don't want to say merge the two, but I want to say
yes, all the time.
Working
all the time.
solidarity?
Oh yeah, I mean some of us will go by their club to have some drinks or something, and they will come over by us. Right. When we needed help at the church, we can go, and I will call up, and the guys will come. When Manuel died, they were the ones who gave us the escort.
Okay.
You know, but at that time, though, I had my purple beret on. I have always been a young lord, even when I was their president.
Right.
I was a young.
So you
See?
always put the young lords first.
Oh yes, oh yes. You know, and then when I was with them, you know, uh, they were my group. I was their president. So you know, I mean, I did what the hell I wanted. You know, so but a lot of them, you know, as a matter of fact, there were 3 other members of the Devils. They became young lords. And when we had marches, they would take off the jacket and put on the beret. You know, that's there was no difference. But yes, the Sons of the Devil were always there by the young lords.
Wow.
Always. And still to this day. To this day, if you look at my Facebook page, you will find the Sons of the Devil. They're still there.
Yeah, I seen a couple. I've seen a couple
Yeah.
of them on your page.
Yeah.
That's
So I, you know, one day in a personal thing, I'll send you some pictures I have with them over here in my yard.
nah, definitely send them. Send them. I
Yeah.
definitely want to see those.
Yeah. But I was in both fronts. But yeah, as far as a young lord, I've always been a young lord. Never. It's like I told Cha-Cha last night when I spoke with him. You know, it's just
How's he
right
doing?
now. He's still under the weather. Still
Gotcha.
under the weather. You know, but like I told him, you know, you're 73, I'm 73. Hey, buddy, we ain't gonna be around for very long, you know. And I would love for somebody to be there that would take our organization on for another 50 years. Maybe another 50 years, somebody might be making a movie of you. I told him, you know, you never know. And that will be because somebody picked up where we left off. And that was my words to him last night.
Listen, send him my love and my blessings, man. Tell him I hope he feels better. Definitely.
Definitely.
And when he get a
Definitely.
chance, it's time to shoot me a text, and I'll call him up just to, you know, chop it up to see how he's doing.
And he will. He said he will as soon as he gets himself together.
Yeah, I definitely, you know me, I don't bug him, you know. I bother you more than I bother him. I don't bother him for nothing. You know,
I was going to ask you, do any of your people have any questions?
You guys got any questions? You can see the comments on the side, Dave.
Mm.
Let me see. Anybody got any questions? But yeah, man, you lived a crazy, 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 crazy life.
Yeah, it was a little crazy life. It was a good life, mijo. It was all worth it. And when my granddaughter told me that she wanted to join, that made me even prouder. You know, and when I see people like yourself and what you have created and the people that you have behind you, you know, I feel real confident. Real confident. You know, and you guys will, if anybody's going to keep our name alive, you guys will. And that's going to be my gift.
I think Lobo has a question. He was asking, how was it when you came down to Connecticut to meet the Connecticut chapter of the New Ever Young Lords?
How was it when I went up there?
Yeah.
I was tickled. I felt I had a lot of emotions. I felt loved. I felt good at the same time. I was telling myself, "What the hell am I doing here?" You know, I should have been sitting on my front porch in my rocking chair instead.
Yeah, it was
You know,
kind of cold. When you came up, it was definitely kind of cold. I think it snowed like the next day that you left.
But I tell you what.
Hold on. Sorry. My bad, guys.
You guys made me feel part of you. And that I am proud of.
I mean, to be honest, you made us feel a part of. I don't think it's possible for us to make you feel a part of. I think you made us feel a part of. You know, and when you were there, it was really honestly organic. You know, everything happened perfectly. You know, when we went out, you came out there, did boots on the ground with us. Like, listen, and it's not to knock your age, but at your age, I wouldn't expect, you know, for you to be out there like, yo, you know what, Subi, let's go. I'll go with you. Come on, let's go with the guys. I'm willing. You know, that's a beautiful thing. You know, you still have it in you. People don't know that. You know, that you're still active.
Yeah, no, a lot of people didn't know I was still active. Like I told you, people that I met 50 years ago didn't remember me. You know, but that's okay.
Right. So Ian asked, what message do you have for the youth today?
Oof, I'll tell you what, you know, if you feel it's right, you know, do it. You know, if it's making you feel good doing what you're doing, do it. Do it from the heart and you will never regret it. You know, when you do it from the heart, you can take the kicks, you can take the slaps, you can take the chains, the cells, you know, because 50 years ago, I never believed I would be sitting down talking to another young man with a purple beret, you know, a young man that definitely have made me proud as all hell, because that's how I feel. And all I'm saying is work together. Yeah, if you're all going to work for the common cause, work together. You know, don't
And
bicker.
what would you like to see the youth start applying like today? Like, what would you like them to change? Like, what would you like to see now
Oh, hell,
versus,
and
you
you can.
know,
I would love someday to see that if somebody says I need a lawyer, go see the young lords. You know, hey, my kid, he needs, you know, go see the young lords. You know, because I remember even back then, people would come and wait for us to complain about their white landlords trying to kicking them out, or because the cops came and pushed them around. Believe it or not, people literally came to us and complained, gave us complaints about the cops being mean.
that's a
That's
beautiful
where the
thing.
community was at.
That's a
You
beautiful
know,
thing.
and the community, you got to let the community know you're there for them and with them. You know, and if the young lords can provide that, if one day the young lords can have, you know, their own lawyers, their own office, I would love to see all that. That's why I say to the youth, educate yourself. You want power, you want real power, educate yourself. Knowledge. Knowledge is power. And
Amen.
that's what
Amen.
that's my message to the youth. You know?
Someone asked, is there a documentary in the making for the young lords?
There's been a few, I think there's been a couple of documentaries made. I can't honestly 100% say so, but the last time I spoke with the Central Committee, I was told that there was somebody contacting the Central Committee about something like that.
Okay. So there's a possibility that somebody's working on something a little bit more up to date than what's already out there.
Yeah, but you know, if you look real good at the national headquarters of the Young Lords, you know, we do our things, but we're, how do you say, we're not real big on all that. I'm not anyway.
And I know we had that conversation, you know, and I respect you, the OG Theo. You know, you say no, you know me, no. But I've always told you, you know, we need to hear your story. You know, we have to, not just you guys, for me in New York, the party has done a phenomenal job. Phenomenal. They deserve all the credit they get. But I want to know more about the other chapters. I want to know about Philadelphia. I want to know about the Bridgeport chapter, the New Haven chapter. I want to know about all the other chapters, even though that they didn't maybe finish the process because everything went into shambles. But, you know, I do think, you know, the people need to be educated more on the overall history of the Young Lords. And I think, you know, that's what's lacking. And that's what people really want more information on, because they just hear one story, and it's a lot more to it than, you know, just the one chapter. And again, it's not to take nothing away from them. I just, you know, feel like for me, as someone that's interested in the history, the complete history, which I'm pretty sure there's a lot of others that feel the same way, I would want to know about those chapters that were possibly in my area if I do live in an area where they was. You know, that's inspirational. Like, you know, that gets somebody like, you know what? I want to do it too, like it used to be here. You know, when I moved to Connecticut, I didn't even know there was a Bridgeport chapter, and I lived in Bridgeport, and I look into it. You know, the chairman's still alive. I would love to have a conversation with him. You know, it's something that is still historical and that we still need.
Yeah, and you know what? You looking into it, and I think that's one of the greatest ideas. Okay, because see, me personally, there's only one Young Lord, whether it's YLO, Young Lord Organization, Young Lord Party, or New Era Young Lord. It's all Young Lord. See what I'm saying? There's been indifferences, yes. Was the purpose the same? Yes. To me, there's only one Young Lord, you know, and you guys are part of that one Young Lord.
Yeah, every time you say that,
Welcome.
it hits me right here, because that means a lot, man. Every time you say that, you know, and I know it's genuine and I know it's real.
Yeah. And I know, and, you know, I know people have indifferences and all that, but they got to cut it out. They got to grow up, and you know, and they sooner or later, you know what? You keep doing what you're doing, Suby. You know, and you're going the right way.
Another
And I
question
welcome all
was,
the Young Lords, every single one of you that I have met. And I'll tell you, I have learned to love every single one of you. And the people that I have been speaking to over the phone in the last few days, I have been very impressed. I really have, you know. And so I know that if you're getting people on board, like the people that I have talked to in the last few days, you guys are going to go a long, long way, you know. But remember, when you take the Young Lords, all one.
no, and I told you too, you know, even that's my purpose with these interviews that I'm trying to put together. You know, I would love to just, you know, bring out the history, you know, really bring everybody together, because that's how you bring everybody together, when you bring them down, sit them down and share your story, share your there's things you have in common. Instead of worrying about the differences, let's worry about the things that we have in common. You know, if we spend more time, you know, sharing the things we have in common instead of the differences, do you know what level we can take it as a people? And not just Latinos, just overall as people. The things that we can accomplish is limitless.
It's unlimited, you know. Let me clarify something. When I say we're one, anybody that's for the cause, and the cause is the community, then we're one.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I have another question here, if you don't mind. So what pushed you to continue moving forward after losing so many people?
The fight wasn't over. Our people were still not in place. And we're still not, it's still not over.
No?
It's just the methods of getting there has changed. You know, because of what those people did back then, today you have a lot of power, a lot of knowledge, a lot of education. Today, you can stand in front of a courthouse or in front of a judge's bench and fight. Yeah. So, yeah.
You know, you know, it's a little just crazy to see how things went, you know, in 50 years, how things drastically changed, you know, in a matter of 50 years. You know, they were still pushing segregation in New York and Chicago and other places, you know, 50 years ago. And people think about segregation and they think, you know, 100+ years ago. They're not thinking about, you know, that's when their grandparents or parents, you know, were around, and that's the struggle that they had to go through at the time. You know, it's not as far away as people think it actually is. And, you know, like I said, for you guys to be able to do what you guys did and accomplish the things you accomplished, especially with other organizations like the Rainbow Coalition, yo, like I said, it's phenomenal. It really is. I'm proud to be carrying you guys' legacy.
Well, thank you. And thank you for picking up the torch. Really. Thanks for this interview. I mean, this is the first time I interview. I don't give interviews, you know, I'm sorry, but
no, listen.
I hope you got everything you wanted out of it.
Listen, I know you wanted it a little bit too. You wanted to let out a little bit of your story too, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing, you know, we coming together as one, you know, the now and the then coming together as one, you know, and that's beautiful because you know what? It makes me feel good that I got somebody, especially an elder or OG that I consider in my eyes, you know, a mentor that doesn't normally do this, to come online and do this. You know, like I said, you didn't have to do it before. You didn't have to do it at all. So.
Yeah. All right, there, and I'm going to see if I can get you other people to do so. If it's going to help you with the organization and develop the organization, give some confidence to the people that's standing behind you, then we'll do whatever we can.
Right. Absolutely.
And all I ask is, whatever stories you tell, just tell it the way it really happened, the way it really was. That's all I ask, the truth.
And you know, we've had this conversation. I can't rewrite what you guys did. Only you guys can tell it through your visions. You know, everybody went through it their own way. Everybody, you know, you could have 5 people in the same room and they all have a different story on how they received what happened and what things that went on at that time. And the best way to get it is from each individual person on how they viewed it at the moment. You know, that's why I say, you know, that's why I like these conversations.
Well, anyway, I'm here, and for anybody out there, I'm here. Definitely.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay, man.
All right. But anybody else got any questions before we close out here? I appreciate everybody, you know, for tuning in. But I do want to give, you know, a big shout out to David for coming down. I do want to give a shout out to Cha-Cha. But I missed something? Steven, when are you doing the Universal with David and Cha-Cha? I'm just, we're going to wait till COVID is, you know, pretty much done. I want to make my way back down to Florida to go see David, you know, catch a 3D, you know, conversation again. I went down to Florida last time. We had a ball, but with all of COVID right now, I'm trying not to travel as much, and I'm trying not to have David travel as much, you know. But definitely when things start opening up a little bit more, we'll be able to do a lot more traveling. You know, I'm looking forward to it. I'm planning on it, you know, going down to Florida. And I do want to go down to Chicago and meet the brothers in Chicago and see what's going on in Chicago. Steven asked, who would you cast as yourself in a movie? do you have any specific person or actor or famous person? Like, who would you be like, hey, yeah, I want him to play me?
Probably Luis Guzman.
Luis Guzman?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You got your answer. You got your answer. That was pretty funny. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to see that right now. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I kind of like Bruce Willis too, but you know. But that's okay. Listen, Mijo, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to say hello to everybody out there. If you guys, anybody out there have any questions, you know, you can ask Suby to ask me, or, you know, get on Facebook and ask me yourself. It's okay.
So he's telling you guys, you know, don't flood his inbox, but you guys could definitely message him. Reach out to him. He's willing to have conversation. But I definitely also, you know, can't end this without giving a big shout out to the New Ever Young Lords. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have, like I said, you guys made this possible. I didn't make this possible by myself. You guys are the key to the door that we've opened and went through. You guys put your all into it. And we're not sponsored. We don't have people giving us anything. Everything that comes from us directly, you know, from the heart. And we put the time and the work in because we want to, not because we have to, and not because we asking anybody for anything in return. So to you guys, the New Ever Young Lords, every single one of you guys, thank you. I love you guys. God bless you guys. And let's, you know, continue forward, pa'lante. You know, and that's how that's all I got to say on that. You know,
and all power to the people.
All power to the people. Oh, before we tap out, again, I don't get paid for this, but I'm going to say it again because I'm going to keep promoting it. Tomorrow, Judas and the Black Messiah, support the Hampton House. You know, go watch the film. I know they're doing a lot of theater premieres. You know, if you can't make it to the theater, I think what HBO Plus or Max or whatever it's called, they're premiering it as well. You can catch it at home. You know, like I said, I don't get paid for this. I'm just, you know, it's history that we got to go see, and we got to support one another. And it starts within the community.
Yeah. Love you all.
I love you too, guys.
And God bless you all too.
God bless.
God bless you.